Welcome back to the Real Estate Brothers podcast, where we interview real estate entrepreneurs, wholesalers, flippers, developers, all of the above. Today is kind of going to be a bonus episode where it is just myself, Ethan Christensen, with my co-host,
Bridger Christensen.
And we are obviously the brothers. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that a lot of beginner wholesalers have, one that holds a lot of people back, and just going to talk about everything all encompassing about building a buyer's list, and how important that is, some different strategies you can use in 2024, and a handful of different nuances there. So when does having a buyer for a property come into play? In a real estate wholesale transaction, you go out, you get a property under contract, you get a distressed property under contract. The intention is that you are going to be assigning that contract to an end buyer, a flipper, buy and hold investor, whatever it is. If you've gotten this far, take comfort in knowing you have gotten the hardest part taken care of. Getting a property under contract at a reasonable price, at a wholesale price, is the hardest thing. That, hands down, the hardest part of the process. And now you're in a position where you're thinking, now I got to actually sell this thing and make some money. And this is where, again, building a buyer's list comes into play.
Yeah. No, I feel like with our beginning, when we were first starting, this was probably one of the biggest concerns that we had was, how do we find buyers? And for some reason, it was almost like a hang up. Like, I remember we reached out, and this is funny, I don't know if you remember this, but we reached out to a local wholesaler and we were talking about, hey, you have this extensive buyers list. Could we buy your buyers list or something? Because that's buying, not necessarily, I wouldn't consider that maybe a tactic or a strategy, but we'll go into a way that you can help each other out with when you do have a buyer's list. One of those strategies. But I remember him saying, do you remember this?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Gosh, dang, dude. I remember him saying he wanted 50 grand for his buyer's list. And he was like, you can either pay for it up front or we'll split deals until you hit that 50 grand. And I remember back then we were just like, that's insane. Still 100% insane. But I feel like the more volume that you and I have done, I understand his thought process of buyers lists have so much value that is valuable to new wholesalers or wholesalers in general. And we'll go over a couple examples of that here coming up, where having a bigger buyers list will help make you more money. So that was kind of our biggest hang up. I remember we were just like, who were we going to sell or assign these deals to, And looking back, that's probably the last thing that you should be worrying about. It's something to know how to find buyers. But like Ethan said, the biggest thing is actually finding a deal. So understand buying a buyer's list is something you 100% need to do, but it's definitely not the most important thing.
No. Absolutely. Don't let it hang you up. Don't let it push back any effort in getting a property under contract. Some strategies that we used up front were literally utilizing Facebook as much as possible. So wherever you are, I would recommend, this is an actionable step that you could make right now in finding buyers and starting to build a list. I would go, whatever state you're in here, we're in Utah. I would go to Facebook and I would type in Utah real estate investors and I would join all of the groups there. Under that, you can go and do an additional search. So you're on the Facebook page, there's a little, microscope, whatever search bar, and just type in buyers, type in buyers list, type in, whatever it would be that would generate when someone had previously posted about building a buyer's list. So what a lot of people will do, and we did this, we'd go and post and we'd say, hey, I'm a brand new wholesaler. I'm starting to do deals. Who's buying in in Weber County? Who's buying in the Ogden area? Who's buying in the Salt Lake area? Whatever city it is for you. And we'd get all these comments back, and then we'd copy and paste those into an Excel sheet and just start creating like a master list. So 2 things there. A, you can go and you can make that post in the group, all the groups you can. You're a new wholesaler. You're looking to add buyers to your list. The second thing is do that search, and then all of the other posts will come up where someone else has posted that, and then just copy and paste everyone's email. You could get a couple hundred.
I was just going to say that. I feel like it will depend on the market you're in. Utah is, a decent market for investors, but we probably got at least 150 to 200 emails just for doing that.
Oh yeah, 100%. The next strategy, the second thing you can do, kind of along the lines with what Bridger was saying, utilizing other people, other wholesalers for their buyers. What we would do is you just trade lists. You find someone who has roughly maybe the same amount as you, unless the person you're working with is, they're super cool, they're like-minded. We now have just over 8,000 buyers on our list. But when we were first starting, if I only had a couple hundred, I'm not too sure someone with 8,000 would be totally open to just giving them all to you. But because again, like I can see that where you'd mentioned that guy was going to, ask 50 grand. Well, they've made millions from that list. So there is value to it. So I totally understand. So I might recommend trying to find someone who has the same amount as you within a few thousand. And we're open to that all day. I think there was a guy who had 12 and we had 8, or it was vice versa, 6 and 8, something like that. And we traded with him. And I think we got like 800 new buyers.
I think he just looked and saw, looked at our list, looked at his list, found however many he was able to get from ours, which was, if it was 800, then it was 800. And then he gave us 800 of his.
Yeah. So lots of different ways that you can do it, but that would be the second way, is to, again, interact with other wholesalers and try and trade up on lists.
Yeah. Another strategy that we used is going to investor meetups. So in some of those groups, a lot of them are like RIAs, or real estate investor associations. And what you can do is sign up. I don't know exactly how much it costs, but start going to any local meetups that you have in your area or nearby, and just go in and ask people who are buying. A lot of times, like we have a local one here that we go to where they have everybody stand up for like 10 to 20 seconds saying who you are, what you do, what you're looking for. And if I was a flipper, well, we do flip, but if flipping was all I did, I'd stand up and say, hey, I'm a flipper. I'm looking for deals or looking to connect with wholesalers. So if you're in that meeting, you should be like, yes, that's somebody I need to talk to. Go introduce yourself, go get their email, get their phone number, and get their buy box or what they're looking for. Because some people might only be looking for multifamily. They might only be looking for single family or developments, whatever it might be. Take note of it and just add them to your list.
Yeah.
I feel like that's been a great way to connect with you. You might not get a lot of buyers like that, but you will get solid buyers. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, off of that point, solid buyers, there is a point where, as with most things in life, quality over quantity. We could sell a deal. I would rather have a list of 10 even. 10, 20, 50 truly active buyers who are purchasing every single month than 8,000. Yeah. So many of those are they're just emails. They're just there. Yeah. We've never heard of them. Again, we've just traded and we have them. They've, maybe have never heard of us, but they're not super serious. Or they're the guy who bought a flip 2 years ago and he hasn't bought one since. So quality over quantity and interacting with people face to face can provide that as well. The other thing that Bridger had said is the buy box. So a buy box, it's kind of self-explanatory, but it's exactly what they're looking for. They want single family houses in Weber County around this square footage, with this much margin or whatever it may be. Now, we used to take note of that a lot more. We used to take a lot more or just pay more attention to that and keep note of it in our Excel sheet right next to their name and email and all that. But at the same time, you want everyone to see your deal. And so we still do that. But more than anything, we just add them to our list and we just send it out. And so if it's a land deal, we'll reach out to them beforehand, or if that's, the type of person who's interested in it. But more than anything, quality over quantity, but you also do want as many people to see your deal as possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I think it was last week, we sent out a deal in an area that we typically don't do deals in. It was kind of just a one-off type of thing. And sure enough, 2 or 3 people that we've never interacted with who have been on our buyers list for the last 5 years reached out and they're like, hey, I'm interested in these. So that's where, having almost like having like a group of investors who are just like Ethan's saying, actively buying, keeping them in your back pocket, knowing like they are consistently there, consistently getting deals. But then the beauty of having a big buyers list is you'll meet and have these people on your list that you've never talked to, you've never done a deal with, but all of a sudden they want to do a deal, and you just might have not been sending out the right deals that they wanted, which is fine, because when you do send it out, they're ready. And so I feel like that's been huge with having a bigger buyers list, is that exactly, finding people in areas that, you might not normally get deals, but they're actively buying there. Another thing that was cool, just same person that or one of the same people we're talking about, is when he called me, he was like, hey, I'm interested in this deal. I want to go look at it. We're like, great. And then at the end, he was like, and I should have asked, like, what are you actively doing within real estate other than flipping? He was like, I'm a hard money lender, and his terms are better than most hard money lenders, And so always be thinking of ways to maximize your buyers list, through talking about what these buyers are doing. Because now we have another hard money lender that we might be wanting to use in the future.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. As you'll see, there are times as you do more deals, you'll come across delicate scenarios with sellers where, maybe it's an old lady who, could even be on her deathbed, and the family's over there, they need to sell. And the last thing you want to do is send 30 people through the home, right? Like that doesn't sound very appealing. So some might disagree with this thought process. Some absolutely would agree. And I think it's very situational. But having a VIP buyers list, meaning people who have bought from you in the past and people who are active buyers, that list for us is probably, 10 to 20 people is all. So if we ever come across a scenario where, again, I'm not even going to send it out to my mass buyers list, all I'm going to do is I'm going to get this property under contract, and I'm just going to individually call, text, reach out to this VIP buyers. And I'd rather have, again, some quality over quantity. I'd rather have 3 or 4 very serious buyers who I know will absolutely make an offer. I'd rather have them go through than have 15, people who are just bored on a Wednesday and wanted to go out and look at my deal that I sent. So there also are strategies like that where that could be applicable. So keep note of who's buying your deals, because sometimes there's situations where a one-off thing where you just only tell a few people about it, they go look at it, you get your offers, and you call it done, is absolutely appropriate.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. There's a lot of situations you'll see where having those types of buyers is crucial, because you want to be very respectful of the seller situation, because it might be a situation where a family's about to inherit a home, or they just did, and they don't want 20, 30 people coming in there. So I think that's something to keep in mind. Absolutely. And we did that at the beginning when we only had a few hundred on our buyers list, but you'd send out a deal and you would know, who are the serious buyers, because they're coming to every single walkthrough, and then you build a relationship with them, and that can definitely help. I think Another strategy that's free, and I think this might be the last one we'll talk about, is reaching out to realtors who are active in the real estate game. Because obviously there's a lot of realtors who aren't, but I'd reach out to realtors who either have listings that look like dumps, that somebody might be coming in cash for, because that happens all the time, and asking them who are the active flippers in the area. I feel like we've gotten a handful of really good flippers who, we were referred to from realtors. So there's a lot of realtors who are doing great things and are willing to help you out. So don't be afraid to reach out to them, because a lot of times it's funny, because something that we've come across recently is a lot of deals that flippers get come from wholesalers, but I'd say the second most deals that go out to the market are through realtors, and not done publicly, not done on the MLS. A lot of times they're just sending out pocket listings to people that realtors are sending them out to people that they know are flipping. I feel like we've been getting a handful of deals that way, and it's kind of opened our eyes to how many transactions are happening from realtors, but never on market either, exactly. You never hear about. So getting in good with them is a great way to build your buyer's list.
Yeah. On a quick note before wrapping it up, a story as to why having, good quality buyers, a lot of buyers, whatever it is, but having multiple people who are interested in a property. There were some times where when we were first starting, we would feed this one flipper almost all of our deals, because it just seemed impossible that there was going to be all these other people that were interested. And we sold ourselves short, way short, like making $5,000-$10,000 assignment fees when they easily could have been, 20, 30 grand. To show that point, we had gotten a property under contract and we sent it out to our buyers list. There was a handful of people interested, and there's this one buyer that we've actually never done business with him, but he's kind of one of those people that will reach out to really quick. Often, their transactions are taking place in another state, so our buyers list is a little less there. But we'll reach out to him to hurry, go look at a property. I mean, I know I can get an offer from him in 24 hours or even less than that. And he is good for his money again, but we've just never done a deal with him. He comes in pretty low. So what had happened was we sent out a property for, I don't know what it was. It was like 120 or
it was 122 or 132.
And we got it under contract for 111,000. So sent it out at 132. This guy went in and made an offer at like 87.
Yeah.
Like so
he's like, maybe
low.
I could push it to 90.
Yeah, I was like,
dude,
give me a break, Yeah. And there are times where, if all your buyers said that, you'd have to obviously go renegotiate with the seller and try and figure something out. But if we were new when we were just starting and I heard an active flipper who's doing dozens of deals tell me that he could only be at 87 or 90, that would have scared the crap out of me. And I would have thought that I don't have a deal. The next lady who went through, made an offer at asking, if not over by...
It ended up going $2,000 over, I think.
$2,000 over asking. So we made 23 grand or $4,000 or whatever it was. So just remember, you just need to convince one person to buy your property. You just need one buyer to stick, one to go through, one to see the vision. And if people go through and they make you lowball offers, get other people in there. Don't sell yourself short. Because this lady saw the vision and she ended up buying it from us. So
yeah, I feel like, and something that you just touched on is something I feel like we've been talking about a lot lately, where you could be doing 10 deals a month, 20 deals a month, but at the end of the day, there's only one person buying each deal, right? So at the end of the day, you just need that one right buyer, just one solid buyer. So not to, take any pressure off, but just to understand that you could have a huge list, you could have a small list, but at the end of the day, if it's a good deal, there's only one buyer that's going to be buying it. So hopefully you guys have learned a handful of methods and strategies on how to build your buyer's list. And I feel like these are the strategies that we use that have helped us grow and build up to an 8,000 plus buyers list. So we hope you guys enjoyed this, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all the things that the people say at the end of podcasts. Leave a review, because we're now figuring out that you can review podcasts. So be sure to leave a review, and we will see you guys next time.
See ya.